Hello, everybody. It took a little while there for that to kick in. I don't know if my internet's a little glitchy today or what, but welcome. Good to see you all, even though I don't even really see you guys, but I always envision that you're there. So happy Friday. It is Coffee with Kari, a live chat with the Mortician. That is what I am. And so you can ask me any questions you would like. I get a lot of questions that are emailed to me. So I try and hit as many of those as I can. Good morning, everybody. Cheers to, a drippy cup there. Cheers to a Friday. I'm not even using one of my mugs. I swear by this K mug, and I don't know why. Good morning, everybody. Good to see you all. It's so crazy because at this point, between doing a lot of the state viewer, the viewer state question things that I've done, and I've done some small session chat things, which are available. If you go to my website, you can sign up for a small chat session to do a Zoom kind of 2 or 3 on 1 with me. So a lot of these names now I'm starting to meet all you guys in person, sort of. So it's kind of fun. So welcome, everybody. You broke the like button. Thanks, Mr. Sharkbite. That's one of the best compliments I've probably ever gotten. Well, good morning. So I'm going to dive into questions because I have a lot of them that you guys have sent. Some weeks I don't hardly get any, and some weeks I get like an insane amount of email. But before I do that too, so tonight I am premiering a video. It is my second video interview that I did with Caitlin Doty, Ask a Mortician, when I had gone to visit her last fall in LA. And we are discussing kind of like if we could wave a magic wand and change anything within the funeral business, what would it be? And I think you guys will be really surprised by our answers. I think we were surprised by each other's answers. And by the point we filmed this one, we were really comfortable, and I laughed a lot during it because it was fun. I had a really good time filming with her. So join me tonight. It'll be a premiere of the video. I will be live chatting in the side typing chat, just like you're doing now, with you while we watch that, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. So the link is already on YouTube there. Just look for it. Oh, Mara, thank you. You can put us tied for first place. JW, you're going to participate in the calendar challenge for the Mortician. What is the calendar challenge? Christine, you are in Kalamazoo. That's crazy. So that's where I work. So I think that's so insane when people are right where I am. Kari, does a corpse bleed? Yes, a dead person does bleed, not the way it runs out. It's just more of a gravity effect. It's not that the blood is pushed out because the heart's not pumping, but they do bleed, so to speak. Blood does come out. Yeah, Nicole, I got the chance to meet Caitlin last fall and do some videos, and she gets a lot of bad press within our industry, and it's one of those, I really wanted to meet her in person and understand who she is as a person without making any judgments on her. And everybody tries to pit us against each other. We walk 2 very different paths within the industry, but I really am thankful that I met her and that I can have her support and can support her. So thank you guys. All right, diving in. So this first question, when you're embalming, does any type of chemical need to be put into a drain after embalming to prevent the discarded blood from congealing and causing a clot? I believe that some prep rooms use what looks like a toilet that is mounted low to the ground, and the embalmer can flush it with his or her foot when it becomes full. But if the blood is drained into a regular sink, do you need to use Drano or a specialized chemical to keep the drain clog free? So that is one of the biggest things I think that surprised people, is that when we embalm, the blood and excess chemicals and everything that comes out goes down the drain, right down the drain. But it's not going to clot up in the drain. It's moving. We have water running the whole time. So that's acting as a vehicle to keep things moving down the drain. Just like if you were to wash dishes, you don't just dump everything off and stick it in the drain and expect it to move. You have water running. And so that moves things down and in through the pipes. Now I'm going to combat right now because people will be like, well, why are you putting it in the water system and blah, blah, blah. Okay. So if you spit when you're brushing your teeth, where does it go? If you cut your hand and you run it underwater, where does that go? When you clean anything, where do you dump the dirty water that had chemicals in it? So when you throw up, where does it go? When you poop, where does it go? When you vomit, where does it go? All the same place. Just because you're dead doesn't make it any more contagious than when you were alive. So same process, same thing. Every chemical you use is your chemicals that you use in your household and that you ingest daily, and things are no less toxic than what we use at the funeral home. You have a lot of formaldehyde, a lot of glutaraldehyde within your home, within everyday products. You'd be surprised. Philip, good morning, Philip. Are you off working today and delivering stuff and going to hospice homes and everything? In a funeral procession, what's the average mile per hour you drive to the cemetery? It depends. I mean, if we get on the highway, we've got to get up to speed. If I'm on just like a 2-lane road, if it's a major one, I'll try and go maybe about 40. It just depends. And if somebody tries to get in my procession, I will drop down and go really slow to piss them off. Like, don't get in my procession if you don't belong there. Oh, and I was going to tell you, Philip. So Philip, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, Philip, but I'm pretty sure I'm remembering, you deliver like equipment to hospice patients' homes, like hospital beds and stuff like that, correct? And I recently went to a woman's home and had her sign some paperwork because she couldn't drive and stuff, and her husband had died. She was looking forward to getting to see the man that was coming to pick up the hospital bed because she's homebound. And during COVID, especially, and her husband died and he was the only family she had, she was looking forward to that one interaction with the gentleman to come pick up the hospital bed. So I asked her if I could give her a hug because she hadn't had a hug since her husband had died. Can you even imagine? And so don't discount your interactions with people as not being much sometimes, because that may be the only interaction some people have literally all day long. Can you imagine if you're homebound, you have no family, no friends, you've been in lockdown for COVID, and you go to the dentist or something, or you go to the grocery store, and your interaction with that checkout person is the only interaction you have all day. And if they kind of just blow past you and brush you aside, that could have been an opportunity for you to have a 30-second conversation on your day. So just remember that some people don't have people to go home to, and they don't have conversations with other people often. So be patient, take your time, take an extra minute in your day sometimes to say, hi, how are you today? Oh, you look nice today. I like your jacket, blah, blah, blah. Engage people a little more. Embalming is such an invasive procedure. Do you wish to be embalmed or not when the time comes? Embalming is really not for me to decide on. That's for my family. I really don't care one way or another. It is what it is. It's it's a means to the end. It's the end result is why you're doing it. It's the sanitation and temporary preservation of an individual to control viewability for an event. That is what embalming really is. So if that's what my family needs, then go for it. Yes, ma'am. And the people in the South all call me ma'am. I know you're not that far down south, Philip, but love it. Do you have to be in a coffin to be cremated? Most crematories require you are in a rigid container, whether it's a basic cardboard box, whether it's a base like a fiberboard or like a plywood base with a cardboard cover, something that you're in a rigid container. Do you have many people who are buried with cremated pet remains? Not a lot, actually. Not a lot. How long is the embalming fluid meant to keep the body intact? Like how many years before true decay? There's oftentimes we are saying prayers that we can get to when the casket closes. There's no assurity in this that the deceased is going to be preserved even through the funeral sometimes, depending on condition. But you can get people disinterred after 50 years and they look great. So there's no timeline. It is us doing the best we can, temporary preservation and sanitation for the viewing. That's really all it is. Thank you, Julie and Melissa. Yeah, she was so sweet. I've heard a body can burp and pass gas. It's true. What's inside can come outside when the person dies. So it can all come out. Philip sharing, that is so true. I have a few patients I talk with when I deliver equipment to them, and that's one thing I love about my job. You're so sweet, Philip. I love my energy. Do I exude good energy? I want somebody that can read aura. I don't know if I believe in all that, but like, what color is my aura that comes out? I don't know. Some days it feels very gray, but oh, Casey, yes, you clean houses and some are elderly. And yes, you need to take the time to talk to them. That's awesome, Casey. Hello in Dublin, Ireland. Cynthia, I still cannot get a funeral home locked down that I could come visit, but your state or your country is also not wanting me to come because they're telling me I have to quarantine for 2 weeks still. So I'm hoping that that changes. Why is a rigid container required for cremation? So imagine trying to take a pizza dough that's all, moving all over the place and getting it into the oven without being able to pull the tray out from the oven or having the pizza on a pizza platter. So you have to try and get that big loosey-goosey pizza dough into the oven without the whole thing falling all over the place. That is literally the best analogy I can give. So you need the individual to be on something to get them into the retort. There's not a tray that comes out that you set them on. You can't move a 6 foot long person. I don't want to say thing, but imagine taking something 6 foot long and trying to get it into this big, deep oven, essentially, or retort. You can't. You need it in something so you can move that item in and the individual be inside of it. Does that all make sense? Some of these analogies literally just pop into my head and I spit them out and I hope that they make sense. I just did a video with Ryan and Brian. We filmed 2 more of the victims of crime, which will be coming the next edition of that next week. So, and this, I totally made up this analogy during the one that's coming out next week. And I'm like, man, I hope that came out right. And I didn't say anything offensive during it and that it all sounded good. But sometimes it makes sense. Thank you, Mara. Yeah, I'm trying. I viewed a friend who died 8 days earlier. Her fingertips were starting to turn dark purple. Is there any makeup that could have hidden this? Fingertips are really tricky because you have nails, and when they darken, all you can do is literally cover the hand in makeup, but then you have nails covered in makeup. Some people will remove the nails with the family understanding and then cosmetize, then reapply the nails and so that they look more natural. But fingertips dry out really quickly and you dehydrate a lot of times before you've died. So it's definitely an uphill battle sometimes. I know, Cynthia, I'm trying. Okay, so maybe after 6 weeks. I'm hoping maybe August. Maybe August I can come to Ireland. I just want to come to Ireland and I don't know why. Maybe it's the accent. Maybe it's redheaded men. Maybe, I don't even know. I don't know, guys. Oh, I don't know. Okay, do dark complected persons have less of a tendency to change color after they are deceased? I went to the wake for a dark African-American lady who worked for my mom, and it looked like she had no makeup on except for lipstick, and she looked amazing. You could see the moles and normal discolorations that she had when she was alive. It literally looked like she put on her best dress, went to the beauty shop, then came to the funeral home. I know that white people can be very pale and white after embalming or even formaldehyde gray, as you have mentioned, but I wonder if darker skin tones keep their natural color after death. You've got this underlying, what changes is that ruddiness, the red hues that are in your skin, and you don't have sometimes as much of that in other complexions. You have other colorings, yellow undertones, pink undertones, oranger undertones. You get all these different colors. So sometimes, yeah, you have to restore that coloring, but you don't notice those changes much if skin is darker. But that also means you may not see that bad things are going on under the skin, where the skin is darkening and there is that modeling going on and such. So you may not cosmetize as much, but then those coloring and things may come through over the course of a day or two, and you may have to then go back and apply more cosmetic. So it just really depends, on the scenario. How long does a body have to have the organs taken when you are an organ donor? Do they find out ASAP when you're an organ donor? So they have to ask your family. It's not an automatic, we're going to look at the driver's license and then we're going to just go remove things. Your family still needs to authorize it and give permission. So it is kind of a process through. They still need to talk to somebody about it. They can't just go taking things out of somebody. It's a very, 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 and I mean very small percentage of people that can donate a viable heart or, lung or things that your body has to be working via machine still when those items are taken. They can't be unactive at all to be transferred into another human. So that scenario is a very limited window opportunity scenario. So other parts of the body have different hours and things that they can be procured in. So that's why talking to the family quickly is very much a big deal. And it sounds like, they're coming in and they're trying to scrap that person for everything they were worth. But there's a very small window of time that parts of your body are viable after your heart has stopped. So even corneas and skin and heart valves and things that can be taken after the person has had their heart stop, there's a time limit. So they have to make contact with families. They have to get permission and they have to get in there. It seems invasive and sometimes seems cold, but they have to in order to get those donations. At my father's funeral, he had fake freckles. Why? They might have had to cosmetize him heavily under to then add those freckles back. Because if somebody has freckles, like I have freckles, I don't know if I can, this camera might not be good enough, but I have lots of freckles. So if you cosmetize me matte, it would be a little odd probably, especially to my kids, that my freckles were all gone, because that's a natural part of me. And if you picture somebody that has lots of freckles, you want to kind of put some of that back on them. Some people do it well, some people don't. They try and do dotted freckles when really you need like a flick of the cosmetic to create the randomness of size and distance. Yay, Cynthia. I'm trying to go back up to some of these questions. You guys are chatty, chatty, chatty. I love it. When is green burial going to hit the marketplace in the death care industry? It is coming. It is a slow progression. So like a local cemetery here, it had to go through a huge process. It has to be voted on. It has to be agreed upon. Then land needs to be cleared and a plan made. And so it's quite a process to get a cemetery plan in place and then roll it out and then have funeral homes that are equipped and knowledgeable to then do a green burial. So it is quite a process. Have you embalmed any famous celebrities? No famous celebrities. People in the news? Yes, but not celebrities. I have the cheekiest laugh. I feel like that's a very British thing to say. I'm cheeky. I like it. Can the deceased hair be braided? Of course, yes. Especially, like at someone who is Black and they have lots of very intrinsic braids and things that may need to be redone, retouched up. If there's an autopsy, the hair redone, definitely. Anything can be done with that hair after. So definitely. Was there a reason behind you choosing to be a freelance director embalmer instead of working at one location? Yes. The reason I did it for flexibility with kids and all sorts of things. I wouldn't be doing this if I wasn't freelance. Doing this and as much time and energy goes into doing this stuff, which I didn't even realize starting YouTube, the time and energy that goes into this. I spend probably 20 hours a week doing YouTube stuff, and then I work 25, 30 hours, depending more, sometimes less, at funeral homes. So, and then I'm engaging constantly with other professionals and all sorts of things. I feel like I've got a million balls in the air, and they're all within the industry, but they're all up in the air at the same time. So, and more coming as well. I have more balls that I'm working on getting up in the air. It's crazy, but it's all within the industry, which is great. So I like the variety. It keeps me constantly excited about new things within the industry. Whereas working one day, all day, every day at the funeral home, it would get old probably to me. I get bored easily. And so I think that this just keeps me excited and engaged. Do I have any videos on restorative art? I really don't right now, because I want to do, there's a lot of videos I really want to do, but I want to do them well. I don't want to just me sitting here talking about restorative art. I can give you some good information, but I'd rather get to show you some good things. I'm hoping, I know that Pittsburgh Mortuary School has a new restorative art lab. I am hoping to go there in the next year and get to do videos about their work and show you things, show you what we do. I wish that I could show you all the pictures that I've been able to be exposed to through people who have taken before and afters of some of the restoration work that's been done, because you would not even believe what we could do when it comes to putting somebody back together. So I wish I could show you that stuff. Another Irish person here. The best time to visit Ireland is during the summer months. Prepare to be amazed. Seriously, bucket list dream there. So, all right. I need to catch up to where you guys are talking. Hello in Scotland. Scotland too. I feel like Ireland and Scotland, kind of that, you know, neighborly mishmash stuff. I like both of it. I love all the accents. I'm a softie for accents. So I had a viewer after last week's coffee session. I had talked about causes of death and not talking to the family at visitations about talking about that death story and actually talking about the life. And so somebody had said, well, what if you put up a little sign that tells what happened when the person died? So here's my initial response to that is, what business is it of anybody who comes to a visitation or funeral as to how a person died? They're dead. Everybody feels like they need to be nosy now and know why, or they need to assume that if Parkinson's is the memorial donation organization, that the person obviously had Parkinson's. That's not the case. A lot of people choose memorial donation organizations based on somebody in the family possibly having it, a friend, all sorts of reasons. So don't assume anything. Don't assume if somebody died at home and they were 25 that they killed themselves or that it was an overdose. There are so many possibilities as to why people die. Mind-blowing how many possibilities there are, but it really isn't anybody's business. It isn't anybody's business but the family, and asking them to explain it puts them in a bad position that they then have to either tell you, we're not talking about it, or they're going to tell you, and then that becomes this bit of gossip that they really don't want out and around. Does that make total sense? And I'm not saying it to be snooty, but it's really nobody's business what happened. If they want to share, they can share. And I feel like that's why some people do these big Facebook posts now, so that people get the information and then they don't have to like share it a million times later too, or clear the air about it. And so sometimes obituaries are very clear as to what happened, or they tell you natural causes so that you don't assume there was something else. I mean, it's a great question, but definitely not anybody's business. I'm drinking coffee with unsweetened coconut milk in it. What do I think of ESA for the funeral home? What is ESA? Yeah, so Prince Philip is being buried in a wool casket. I don't know anything about this yet. I'm waiting for some hopefully inside information from England and to get more. As soon as I know more, I'll do a video on it. But right now it's all sorts of just reporting chatter about things. So I'm interested to see and to actually know what is up. Is there such a thing as a crematorium inspector, just to make sure cremation is done correctly? The state inspects, and then, they look over and make sure equipment inspection every however often. So this next week, hopefully, God willing, I'm going to go do a tour and video at a new crematorium that was built recently. And so if you have specific questions about crematories that you want me to ask while I'm doing this tour, so we can fill in all of those questions, make sure to drop them in comments, because I am going to try and get as many crematory questions answered as I can while I'm there for you guys. Based on your experience, are green burials becoming more commonplace? Are there any unique regulations that make green burial too restrictive? Are they more affordable? An immediate burial is the same as a green burial when it comes to pricing, really. You're bringing the person in the care of the funeral home. You're maybe having a small identification time viewing, and then you're going for burial. You do still have to be wrapped in something, whether it's a shroud or an inexpensive casket. You need to be in something going into the ground typically. And so you do save on the vault, you save on the casket. You're typically going to pay some lower for that, but it's not that much less than an immediate burial, which is always been an option. I do find more people doing an immediate burial during COVID, especially if you can't have a viewing. Why embalm? Why do this? Why do that? So people are opting out of some of those things because of restrictions. If someone is passed and exposed to hot weather for 4 days and sitting in a chair, do they fall apart when you go to remove them from the chair? That's a very big, there's no steadfast when it comes to death and nature and all of this. There's no one answer. It depends on how hot, and it depends on if they had the windows open, and it depends on if they had the AC on. It depends on if they have a blanket on them, what kind of clothing they have on them. They're not going to fall apart, but you're probably going to have some skin slip at that point. If they didn't have AC, if the windows were closed, you may have maggots at that point and insect activity if a window was open and the insects were able to get in. I mean, there's just a lot of possibles with that because there's so many variables. If you have never done it, you should reach out to Dr. Bass and go to Knoxville. A video on the body farm would be great. They have that place under such lockdown, but I'm working on it. My top 3 list. If you don't know my top 3 list, I want to go to mortuary affairs, like at Dover Air Force Base, and work at mortuary affairs for a couple of days. I want to go to the body farm. And any body farm, there's lots of body farms actually now. There's one in Michigan now. And I want to just do a tour, whether it's for a video or not, it doesn't matter. These 3 things are my 3 things I want to do. And I want to do disaster response, where I work on frontline for, like 9/11 with the bodies, or an airplane crash with bodies, or, just a mass casualty situation. I would love to see the inner workings of that, working with forensic dentists and forensic anthropologists and all these different variables. It just is so fascinating. So those are my top 3 wish lists. So if you want to fulfill one and help me fulfill one, then great. Sign me up and get me in. Oh, when you dress a body, do you cut the clothes? Ooh, David, I'm not answering because in next month, I am posting a video on dressing a deceased. And it's such a fun video that I did. And I do have a little deceased guy I used. Not really. It's a big body dummy thing. So it's pretty fun. Me and my family are doing well. Thank you. Woo, Annabelle's going to Cincinnati, going more choice school this summer. Any advice? Have fun and just soak it all in. Literally, it's one of the best times I ever had was going to more choice school in Cincinnati. I went to Cincinnati, but being around like-minded people for the first time in your life is the best thing ever. Kristen says, I saw your video one day and been watching. It's good to see question and answers. I've lost a lot of family members this past year due to alcoholism and COVID. I have seen an influx of alcoholism deaths, and it is a horrible, sad death from alcoholism. If you've never lost somebody from it, I mean, there's a couple ways that your body does eventually shut down from it, but it is a very brutal, horrible way to go. It's very sad for the family and for the person. It's just sad. What is your thoughts on incorrupt of a body? I recently watched a video on a young boy who died at 15 years old. His name is Carlo Acutis, who they say is incorrupt. Yeah, he's on the path to sainthood. If you've never Googled this, it is crazy. I really want to know more about this because they have pictures like so close up on his face, and you'd think that they're using a what's it called? Oh my gosh, I'm at lack for word on your phone. Oh, a filter. Because he is perfect. His skin, his body, like he is perfection dead. And I don't know how they have done it. So I really want to know and they say it's because he's a saint and all this, but something's up. Whether they've got special air they're pumping into the chamber he's in, I don't know, but this is one thing I really want to dive in. So I'm glad you asked that, Kristen, because this is something I really want to investigate more. So, all right, I'm going to just focus on your questions the rest of the time. If you come to Dover, I can see you. You'll be close to me, Lauren. If I come within anywhere near Lauren, yes, we will definitely meet up for a drink and a chat. Being a mortician does not pay the same in every state or every situation. You could work for 2 funeral homes in different towns and they're going to pay different. Tommy, you're so sweet. One more question, Kari. If a person has diabetes while alive and they've died, will that affect their feet during the embalming? It really won't affect tons. I mean, the circulation is going to be very, very poor, especially down in the legs, because that is where diabetes affects so greatly, is down in the legs. And we may see that they have blackened feet by the time we get them at the funeral home, even because they have been dying essentially for a while. So that it doesn't really affect the embalming just in a general way, but when you have dead tissue on your body, we cannot get, like let's say you're out in the cold. I'm at lack of words today. I did this the other day too. Like my brain just is done. Frostbite, when that tissue dies, we can't do much to it. We can try and treat it from the outside, but it's not going to get much into it. So it's really hard. Tiara, he's a waxed body, but is he? I don't know. I know they talked about another person that was up for sainthood where they actually removed their face and put a wax, not just wax, but like this special face on them. I don't know. It's really mysterious. It's so crazy. Have you embalmed a COVID patient? Yes. My grandfather died when I was 11 from cirrhosis of the liver. This is one of the main reasons I don't drink, Tiffany. Well, and to be very fair, cirrhosis isn't just caused by drinking. You can have somebody that doesn't drink get cirrhosis. It's not very common, but it's like lung cancer isn't caused just by smoking kind of thing, that sometimes there's too much assumption there. Hey, Trish, well, welcome to the channel. Make sure you subscribe. If you don't subscribe. You'll then get notifications. Sometimes I can't control YouTube. I don't send anybody videos. I don't control the commercials that they put on. Completely out of my control. I have one person that just keeps saying, why are you sending me this stuff? I don't send anything to you. I put on videos and YouTube controls everything else. outside of my control. Oh, I was doing an arterial ultrasound and my patient's toe fell off. Did you just like pick it up and put it in a baggie for him? At my stepson's funeral, he was very dark. Can you tell me why? Terry, need a lot more information. Like, how did he die? How long had he been dead before the funeral? Did he have an autopsy? All of those things kind of need to know going into it. Does the mortician lift the face off of a deceased? No, we do not, unless we do an extensive restoration where we take all of the skin off, rebuild the skull, and then lay the skin back over. Is it true that a body can sit up after death at the funeral home or morgue? Tara, thank you for being bold enough to ask the question because everybody wants to know this. And some people throw it out, even though it seems like a crazy question, but no, they don't sit up. No, not happening. Alexis, serious. Ever embalmed a Karen who died from not wearing a mask and getting COVID? Never embalmed somebody named Karen that died of COVID. I know what you mean with that, but no, I don't think I've embalmed anybody named Karen that died of COVID. Tiffany, he was a major alcoholic. I was not close to him, but I remember the swelling and the fluid on the skin, and it leaked out from his skin. A lot of edema from that. That singer guy, his baby 3 years old, I believe he was diagnosed with liver cancer. Oh, I don't know who that is. It's odd, but I have been fascinated with death since I was about 7, and I think being a mortician is my calling. Try it. You never know until you try it. He passed from a drug overdose, didn't have an autopsy. What is a body farm? So a body farm is a school. So they will bring in donated cadavers, medical school cadavers. They will place them outside and in all of these different scenarios so they can track decomposition and what happens to a body after death. So let's say they have a car out there. They'll take a body that has been, somebody that's died, and they'll put that body in the trunk and they'll track what it looks like every day and the changes that happen. They'll put bodies under shade, out in the sun, hanging from trees, embalmed and not embalmed, all different scenarios. So that way, if a body is found by like the FBI, they know exactly how long that body has been there. They can then do the timeline of the death. So all of that information about what happens to our bodies in all these different scenarios is so crucial to know for timelines and things when it comes to murder and kidnappings and all sorts of stuff. Super fascinating, like so fascinating to me. You're welcome, Tara. Tommy, please remember my family, Kari, as my aunt passed Sunday. I'm so sorry. I feel like I've had a lot of people write me messages about people dying this last week, like just crazy. Most overdose victims have an autopsy performed. I would say a lot that I see, it just depends. And they'll draw toxicology. An autopsy doesn't mean that you have a Y incision and your cranium is opened. An autopsy can be just a topical and a toxicology draw. Ooh, we've been chatting for a while. Gone fast. Can you request your body to be donated to a body farm after you die if you die in a way that would make your body applicable for a body farm? You can if you live close enough to donate. You really need to live around the medical school to be donated to it. You could try from another state, but they might have a time limit requirement that you have to get to them within a certain period of time. You can try. There are a lot of body farms around. So you can try, get pre-approved because any medical school for any situation, try and get pre-approved so that your family can get you to them as quickly as possible. Yeah, Scarlett, body farms also help police to determine what happened and also used as a learning experience for all of forensic fields. Yeah, it is the most amazing thing. And it's existed for a long time, but just came to light when, books and things were written about the body farms. Thanks, Elizabeth. Yeah, Andrew and Royce, hello, boys. Be good. Happy second birthday. I hope you guys enjoyed going to the farm and milking the cows and stuff. Thank you, guys. I'll take like 2 more questions and then we'll log off for today. And make sure you join tonight if you can, 9:30 Eastern Standard. We'll be doing the premiere of that video with Caitlin Doty. And then next week, I've got my Victims of Crime video for the month posting. I'm trying to do 1 a month, and I'm really enjoying these videos. It has been really fun to film them with Ryan and Brian, and we are starting to bring in guest embalmers as well. So there'll be 4 of us discussing after this month. This month, there's just 3, and then starting next month, there'll be 4. And it creates a whole new amazing dynamic to the discussions. I love it. The autopsy bill, is it the family's bill? Can it be refused by the family? So if an autopsy is required by your county, then the county pays. You don't pay anything additional. If a family wants a private autopsy, the family pays, yes. And it can be $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 upfront cash, not credit card, directly to the technician. So it is a pricey thing to do an autopsy. Your family can say, we have religious beliefs that we do not want you to do an autopsy. Like if you're Muslim, things like that, and they can just do an external looking over the deceased, possibly draw blood if it's allowed by your religion. Otherwise, you really cannot say no. It is for a purpose that they're doing an autopsy. They need to make sure that the cause of death is not something that's salacious or, illegal, and they need to find out why. And so they do it for a purpose. It's not just random. Car accidents, you may think, why are they doing an autopsy? It may be because there might be litigation and they need to know exactly what transpired during that accident, and your body tells that tale. Whether it was your fault, the other person's fault, what impact killed you? Did your neck break? Did you have internal injuries? Was it the airbag? What was it? There's more than just what the surface of what you see or think of why an autopsy might be taking place. So there is often more to it. Jean, my question is above. I don't see your question, Jean. You'll have to just repost it quick. Can you have Caleb Wild as a guest, please? Yeah, he doesn't do a lot of public stuff, really. He's really focused on being a funeral director right now. It looks like I can try and reach out to him again. I have before and didn't get a response, but he gets, he's working. He's got a family-owned business and stuff, but I can try. If someone dies on death row, do they get embalmed by the prison if they have staff trained, or they send them to a local funeral home? No, it's all funeral home. There's not embalming rooms within the prison system. Like Alcatraz used to have a morgue, but they didn't embalm on Alcatraz that I know of. What part of Indiana are the podcast guys from? Now you're testing me. They're outside of Indianapolis. They're around the Indianapolis area. Hey, I emailed you back. Didn't answer the question about the cirrhosis. Sorry to bother someone I know who had been bugging me to ask because they're worried if they pass, they'll have it. No, Courtney, that's okay. I couldn't remember if I'd answered. So Courtney has asked if someone has psoriasis, so that reddening, like rashy, dry skin, what happens when they're embalmed? It's not something we can remove. It's not like a growth on top of the skin that we can kind of cut off. That is your dermis. That is your whole top layer of your, or not dermis, that's your epidermis, right? Is the top layer. Anyway, it's the top layers of your skin. We can't just cut off your skin. That's part of you. We can moisturize it, but it's not going to change it being there. So it's going to be there when you die. Cosmetizing over it, it's still, because it's kind of raised a little bit like an inflammation, because that's what it is. it's still going to be there. There's only so much you can do. We can cosmetize over it to be a fleshier color, not as red, but it's still going to be raised and kind of inflamed. So we can't change that. So Tara, everybody asks this question, the strangest thing when dealing with a deceased person. There's nothing strange to me really for the most part anymore. I do this Sunday, the viewer question and answer series I do on Sundays, I post for different states. This Sunday, that is one question is like a unique thing or an interesting thing I've encountered. So watch this Sunday's video when it posts, and that might answer some questions about that. I still am missing 4 states. I'm almost giving up, guys, that nobody from New Hampshire, Vermont, North Dakota, or Alaska listens to me is what I've determined. So if you know somebody in one of those 4 states, please have them email me, Kari@KariNorthey.com, because I'm just giving up that those states don't get my YouTube channel because nobody from those states is reaching out that they can do that interview. So once I have those 4 states done, I will close out that series and I will move on to doing some countries. And so somebody in Ireland can ask me 3 questions and somebody in Tanzania can ask me 3 questions. So who pays for death row inmate funerals? The family, just like anybody's funeral. That's who would pay. How do you feel about Eastern Star and Masonic rites? I think it's great. I think it is such a small portion of people, though, that actually belong to those organizations. Most people will never encounter an Eastern Star service in their careers anymore because it is so few and far between. So Eastern Star is the female side of the Masons. And the Masons are a fraternal organization of men that gather and they do all sorts of little things. And the female side is the Eastern Stars, and they have ritual and they have routine and they have things they do at funerals. But it's few and far between people will see those anymore because those organizations just don't exist. Do y'all remove the flakes of the psoriasis? So we would scrub off and try and rehydrate and remove some, but you can't remove them all, or you're scrubbing down to like raw flesh. And we don't want that because we don't want to expose it too much. Thank you, Tiffany. I'm just flaking on, that's a bad pun. I am like just mental block this morning that the epidermis or dermis, I'm crazy. All right. I'm going to sign off now. We're almost 50 minutes. We ramble today. You guys are bringing questions. It's funny because I'm getting more and more people in these conversations. And so I'm getting more and more questions, and you guys ask amazing questions. Sometimes they're the same questions, and I'm not trying to blow past your question if I don't give you a deep throat answer, but it might be one that gets asked every week or twice a week. But search out on my channel 2-minute videos on some of those things, or go and listen to past episodes, and you'll definitely hear some of those questions over and over too. So awesome. I love it. You guys are sharing where you guys are from, and I can't believe how many places. I can't believe how many places you guys are from. I don't know. Nicole is, why not ask him your question? I'm divorced from his son. I don't know who you guys are talking about. I feel like there's some little drama going. I like it. My father-in-law is a funeral director. Oh, okay. Gotcha. I've caught up. Well, thank you guys for joining. Make sure you subscribe if you don't subscribe. Check out the videos and watch for those upcoming videos to come. I appreciate you guys so much. Have a really great weekend. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.